If you think we've already found all the coolest dinosaurs, think again. The year 2025 has been packed with jaw-dropping discoveries from the prehistoric world. New dinosaurs are being found so fast, it's hard to keep track. Just this year, scientists have uncovered massive new species, actual T-Rex blood vessels, and even something that sounds like science fiction: a real dinosaur highway. That's right. We're not just talking bones anymore. We're talking footprints, soft tissues, and ancient mysteries finally being solved with modern science. It feels like every week brings something new. Some of these finds are changing what we thought we knew about dinosaurs forever. They're not just bones in a museum. They're helping scientists understand how these animals lived, healed, moved, and maybe even what their skin and blood were like. From tiny flying reptiles to giant plant eaters with claws like swords, 2025 has given us everything short of a real-life Jurassic Park, and we might be getting close to that too. So, what's causing this sudden explosion of Dino news? Better tech, smarter scientists, and even a little bit of luck. Let's dive into the most exciting dinosaur discoveries of the year, starting with a T-Rex who still has blood vessels inside his bones. Stick around, because it only gets wilder from here. T-Rex blood vessels found. Imagine this. Scientists are actually finding blood vessels inside dinosaur bones. Sounds like a scene from Jurassic Park, right? Well, it's real. In 2025, paleontologists studying a T-Rex named Scotty made a shocking discovery: preserved blood vessel structures inside one of his fossilized ribs. Not impressions, not guesses. Actual fossilized remains of the squishy tubes that once pumped blood through a living, breathing T-Rex. It all started like a normal day in the lab. Jared L. Mitchell, a PhD student, was scanning Scotty's rib bones when he noticed a strange blip in the X-ray. At first, it looked like nothing, just a glitch. But when he showed it to his supervisors, they realized it might be something extraordinary. Further scans and chemical tests confirmed it. These were blood vessels, preserved for 66 million years. And this isn't just a cool fact, it's a scientific miracle. Normally, soft tissues like blood vessels break down quickly after death. But in Scotty's case, the rib was healing from an injury, and that healing process may have helped preserve the tissues during fossilization. With this discovery, scientists aren't just learning about dinosaur biology, they're rewriting the rules of what's possible in fossil science. Could this lead to cloning? Probably not yet. But it's a massive step forward. Meet Scotty the giant T-Rex. Let's talk about the dinosaur behind the discovery. Scotty the T-Rex. He's not just any old fossil. Scotty is the biggest Tyrannosaurus Rex ever found. Unearthed in Canada back in the 1990s, he quickly made headlines for his massive size and remarkably well-preserved bones. This beast lived around 66 million years ago, and yet, in 2025, he's still surprising us. Despite his fierce reputation, Scotty has a funny name. Not exactly what you'd expect for a king of the dinosaurs. But don't let the name fool you. Scotty was a true heavyweight champion, one of the oldest and most massive T-Rex specimens ever discovered. Scientists believe he lived a long, rough life, filled with fights and injuries. In fact, the rib where blood vessels were found was healing from a major wound, maybe from a battle or a nasty fall. Now, Scotty's skeleton is proudly displayed at the Royal Saskatchewan Museum in Canada, where you can visit him in person. But his story goes far beyond the museum. Scotty is helping scientists understand how T-Rexes lived, fought, and even healed. Thanks to modern technology, he's become more than just letting researchers peek inside fossils without damaging them. When Scotty's rib was scanned using this tech, the results were stunning. The images revealed a healed fracture site. But even more incredible were the soft, thread-like structures inside. These turned out to be blood vessels, frozen in time. The synchrotron didn't just show bone, it showed biology. It was like looking at living tissue trapped inside stone. This level of clarity helped scientists study the layout of the vessels, how they were connected, and how they responded to injury. It also confirmed the fracture was healing when Scotty died, and that increased blood flow to the wound may have helped the vessels fossilize. Without these ultra-powerful X-rays, the vessels would have stayed hidden forever. But thanks to technology, we now have a direct look at dinosaur soft tissue, something once thought impossible. It's proof that science and tech together can reach deep into the past and uncover secrets we never dreamed of finding. Soft tissue defies time, finding a pause button at the perfect moment. Chemical tests confirmed it wasn't just a weird mineral shape or fossil artifact. This was real, organic material, turned to stone, but still shaped like it was millions of years ago. It's a discovery that has scientists questioning everything they thought they knew about fossilization. This kind of preservation is almost unheard of, making it a scientific miracle. It proves that under the right conditions, even the most fragile parts of a creature can last for millions of years. Scotty didn't just leave behind bones. He left behind a message in his body, one that's still speaking to us across time. What dino blood tells us, so what can scientists actually learn from a 66-million-year-old blood vessel? A lot more than you'd think. The preserved vessels in Scotty's rib give researchers a rare chance to study how dinosaurs healed, how their bodies worked, and how their biology connects to animals alive today. It's like getting a secret code from the past, one that's finally being cracked. By comparing Scotty's healing blood vessels to those in today's birds and reptiles, which are dinosaurs' closest living relatives, scientists can trace how healing and tissue development evolved across millions of years. For example, seeing how blood vessels grew during injury recovery in a T-Rex helps us understand how similar injuries might have healed in birds or crocodiles today. It also gives clues to how dinosaur immune systems worked, how fast they recovered from wounds, and maybe even how their circulatory systems were structured. These are the kinds of questions we could never answer just by looking at bones. Now, let's be clear. This doesn't mean Jurassic Park is around the corner. We're not cloning T-Rexes next week, but finding real soft tissue in fossils is a huge leap forward. Every discovery like this adds a new piece to the puzzle, helping us understand the real lives of these ancient creatures. Not just how they died, but how they lived. The Salad-Claw Herbivore. Forget the roaring T-Rex for a moment. Let's talk about one of the weirdest plant-eating dinosaurs ever found, Donicas tucbatari. This strange creature didn't look scary at first glance, but it had something wild. Two giant claws, like salad tongs from a nightmare. It wasn't a meat eater, but those claws were no joke. They were nearly a foot long, larger than the fingers they grew from, and likely used for grasping plants, digging, and maybe even fighting. Donicas lived in Mongolia's fossil-rich Gobi Desert during the late Cretaceous period, about 100 to 66 million years ago. Scientists say it belongs to a bizarre family called the Therizanosaurs. A group of dinosaurs known for looking like evolution took a creative detour. Most of them had 3 claws, but Donicas only had 2, making it an oddball even among its weird cousins. Despite its claws, Donicas wasn't a predator. It had an ostrich-like head, a heavy, feathered body, and a strong plant-based diet. Think of it like a dinosaur version of Edward Scissorhands, if Edward was vegetarian. This discovery adds one more strange chapter to the dinosaur story. It reminds us that not all dinosaurs were giant lizards with teeth. Some were gentle giants with strange tools built into their bodies. And this salad-claw dino proves evolution has a wild imagination. Donicas had killer claws. Donicas tucbatari didn't just have claws, it had killer claws. Each one stretched nearly a foot long, bigger than the finger bones beneath them. These weren't ordinary tools. They were massive, curved, slicing hooks that made the dinosaur look more like a fantasy creature than something that once walked the earth. But here's the twist. Donicas wasn't a predator. It was a peaceful plant eater. This dinosaur's claws were likely used for grabbing vegetation, tearing leaves, digging into the earth, and maybe defending itself when needed. Think salad tongs mixed with Freddy Krueger. What made this find even more incredible was the preserved keratin sheath. Basically a prehistoric fingernail still attached to one claw, because keratin usually breaks down quickly after death. For it to survive all this time is almost unheard of. Paleontologists were thrilled. This little detail, just with different tools for different times. Weird Dino in Jurassic World. If Donicas tukbatari sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie, you're not wrong. Its cousins already made a big screen appearance in Jurassic World Dominion. You might remember the Therizinosaurus, the giant, long-clawed dinosaur that looked like a nightmare version of Big Bird crossed with Edward Scissorhands. That bizarre creature had 3 slicing claws. But Donicas, it's even weirder. It only had 2, and somehow that made it stand out more. While its Hollywood cousin was taller and more fearsome, Donicas was likely smaller, fluffier, and possibly even stranger. It had a bird-like face, a bulky plant eater's body, and claws that looked more like kitchen tools than weapons. Some scientists think it used them to grasp plants. Others think it could have used them to dig or defend itself. Either way, those claws were serious business. Paleontologist Dr. Darla Zelenitsky, who helped study Donicas, called these types of dinosaurs awkward-looking, and she's not wrong. They're the misfits of the dino world. Not quite predators, not quite gentle giants, but something uniquely their own. So if you thought Hollywood made them up, think again. These strange, clawed creatures are very real, and even more bizarre in real life than they are on the big screen. Oldest flying reptile found. Say hello to Eutaculus mencentire, the oldest known flying reptile ever found in North America. This tiny creature lived over 209 million years ago, older than the first dinosaurs most people know. She wasn't a giant fire-breathing dragon. She was the size of a seagull, delicate as a soap bubble, and light enough to perch on your shoulder. But don't let her size fool you. Her discovery is a massive deal. It all started with one fragile jawbone, smaller than a baby carrot. Paleontologist Ben Klickman was studying it under a microscope at the Smithsonian when he realized it didn't belong to a mammal like some had assumed. The jaw's shape, teeth, and fine details told another story. After comparing it to countless prehistoric animals, he cracked the mystery. It belonged to a pterosaur, a flying reptile, and a close cousin of dinosaurs. The name Eutaculus means ash-winged dawn goddess, and it's a fitting title for a creature found in volcanic ash layers that preserved it perfectly. The second part of the name, mencentire, honors Susan McIntyre, the volunteer who first spotted the fossil after 18 years of careful sorting. This tiny, overlooked fossil just rewrote a chapter of paleontology. It shows that pterosaurs had already taken to the skies far earlier than we thought, and that some of the biggest discoveries come from the smallest bones. Tiny jawbone changes history, one small bone. That's all it took to change everything we thought we knew about flying reptiles in North America. The jawbone of Eutaculus mencentire was barely the size of a baby carrot, so fragile that even a sneeze might have crushed it. But hidden in that little fossil was a giant scientific breakthrough. Proof that pterosaurs were soaring across the sky over 209 million years ago. The credit goes to 2 sharp-eyed people. First, Susan McIntyre, a volunteer at the Smithsonian Fossil Lab, who spent nearly 2 decades sorting thousands of bones most people would overlook. She spotted the strange little jaw and flagged it for further study. Then came Ben Klickman, the paleontologist who took a closer look and realized this wasn't a mammal or a lizard. It was a pterosaur, and a very old one. Before this, scientists had no confirmed evidence of pterosaurs from this early in North America's fossil record. This fossil changed that. Its features: tiny teeth, lightweight bone structure, and unique shape, all pointed to powered flight, not gliding or falling with style. Thanks to one overlooked bone and two determined scientists, we now know that flying reptiles existed here way earlier than expected. It's a reminder that history isn't always found in giant bones. Sometimes, it's hiding in the tiniest, most fragile clues. Ash preserved Dino time. How do scientists know that Utaculus memsentire is over 209 million years old? The answer lies in the ash. Thick layers of volcanic ash that acted like nature's time capsule. When the tiny pterosaur died, her remains were buried in these layers, locking them away and keeping them safe for over 2 centuries of Earth's deepest past. This kind of preservation is rare. Volcanic ash doesn't just bury fossils, it seals them. It stops oxygen, moisture, and bacteria from breaking things down. It's like hitting the pause button on decay. That's how the fragile jawbone survived so long, teeth and all, still intact and ready for scientists to discover in perfect detail. Thanks to these ash layers, researchers could date the fossil with incredible precision, 202 million years ago, placing it just before the end Triassic extinction, one of Earth's most destructive events. That moment wiped out many reptiles, but pterosaurs, dinosaurs, and crocodiles survived, becoming the dominant animals for the next 135 million years. This little jawbone didn't just tell us when flying reptiles appeared. It told us how they survived, evolved, and took to the skies while other species vanished. A pocket-sized fossil buried in ash is now helping explain one of Earth's biggest turning points. And that's a pretty big job for such a small bone. Dinosaurs weren't dying out for years. Scientists believed that dinosaurs were already fading away before the asteroid hit 66 million years ago. The idea was that their diversity peaked around 76 million years ago and then slowly declined. But a new study in current biology has flipped that story upside down. Dinosaurs weren't in decline. They were thriving until the very end. Researchers looked at nearly 8,000 fossil records from North America, focusing on 4 famous groups: the armored ankylosaurs, the horned ceratopsians like Triceratops, the duck-billed hadrosaurs, and of course the tyrannosaurs. At first glance, it seemed like fossils of some groups were rare in the final age before impact, the maastrichtian. But here's the catch. It wasn't the dinosaurs disappearing, it was just bad fossil conditions. During this time, the Rocky Mountains were rising and the giant western interior seaway was retreating, disrupting fossil-friendly environments. Rivers shifted, plains changed, and many dinosaur remains simply didn't get preserved. The record looked empty, but the dinosaurs were still there, stomping across the land. So no, they weren't doomed before the asteroid. They were strong, diverse, and plentiful. If that rock hadn't fallen from the sky, dinosaurs might still rule Earth today. The promised land raptor, some dinosaurs vanish forever. Others come back from the dead, at least in name. Meet Raptor markgraffi, a massive predator from ancient Egypt that scientists thought was lost to history. This 33-foot-long apex hunter lived about 95 million years ago in what is now the Sahara Desert. Its fossils were first unearthed in 1914 at Egypt's Bahariya Oasis, but tragedy struck decades later. In 1944, during World War II, the museum housing the bones was bombed and the fossils were destroyed. For 75 years, this dinosaur was gone. But in 2025, researchers digging through old archives made a shocking discovery. Hidden photographs of the original fossils revealed details never noticed before. Unique horns, an enlarged frontal braincase, and skeletal features unlike any other carnivore. Paleontologist Maximilian Kellner realized this wasn't just another Carcharodontosaur, it was a brand new species. The name carries its history. Tomorrow means promised land, In ancient Egyptian, raptor means thief, and markgraphy honors Richard Markgraf, the fossil collector who first found it.